Welcome to John McGivern's Main Streets, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of this popular TV program.
Sometimes I think my job is so hard.
You'll hear John and his producer Lois Maurer on the drive home as they chat about their impressions of the community and share interesting stories that you may not hear about anywhere else. Today's episode, Galena, Illinois.
So Lois, we're on our way home from Galena.
Which was fantastic.
It really was. So many people have been to Galena, and I feel
Except
foolish.
Me and you.
I know. Don't you feel foolish that we've never been?
How could I not have been to Galena?
Because it really is. It's kind of known for the industry is tourism.
Pretty much that's all it is, right? I mean,
it seems.
I don't know. Every person that I said we were going to Galena was like, "Oh, I've been there. I've been there," and I was like, "Oh, I haven't."
Favorite places, or at least places that you know, there are no favorites. They're like our children. So, but what did you love?
I could just tell you that when we did the research on this one, it was super hard to bring the list down because it's a lot of tourist stuff. There's a lot of places to visit. It was really hard to pick. Yeah. So this one was a plethora of things to choose from. So, and you know I loved that it was all like on two streets, John.
Well, it was, but one of my favorite things was out of town a little bit, and it was a woman who has created a business because she had goats, and now what she does, so it's called Hoofed Goat Trekking. And what she does is she takes groups out trekking on her family ancestral land, just acres and acres of beautiful land. And she goes through the woods and trekking on her land with her group of goats. And her husband thought it was kind of an idea that was not going to work. It was a whole family in on it?
My husband was like, no. And he looks at me like, no one's going to want to walk with goats in the woods. And I'm like, you might be right. I said, but I already have some goats. And I said, the worst case scenario is that I end up with more goats. And he's like, okay, fine.
And didn't she say it was only like 1 year later, he was like, you need more goats?
We need more goats. And I love that it was a family thing. Her daughter, who was going to be a senior in high school, was...
Yeah, that poor boyfriend, though. They sure roped him in.
And her boyfriend really take the groups out. And they have like a morning trek, and they have an afternoon trek, and they've done really well with it. So I thought that was very cool. It's called Hoofed Goat Trekking, and I think her name was Christina, I remember.
And isn't it interesting that of all the tourist things you can do in Galena, it's goats that have risen like to the top of the heap? Because if you want to spend time and you don't want to be in downtown Galena and it's not about eating or drinking or shopping, I think she really hit on something. You know, it's that whole outdoor thing, because Galena's got a lot of outdoor stuff to offer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's because those goats were sure hungry and they kept trying to eat your shirt and the back of my shirt and Gail's microphone.
It was great. It was an interesting story that I don't think we're ever going to find that again. No matter where we go, because we certainly have never run into that before.
No, never.
And my other favorite, I don't know, what's another one of your favorites?
You know, one thing that I thought was interesting was Ulysses Suites. We went to this, it's not a bed and breakfast, it's a boutique hotel, right? Rehabbed building.
It's an Airbnb.
Oh, it's an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And it is so Galena, right? It's high end and beautifully done, an old building that was rehabbed and renovated, and
it's an old building that used to be a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing, you know, and right on Main Street. Like if you're going to do Galena, that's the way to do it.
And if you know Galena, it's at the curve in the road. So Main Street has it has a little curve to it, and this building is right on the point of that curve, so you can see both up and down Main Street. It's kind of the perfect
Sure.
spot.
We found that out when we shot, which was 3 days later after we got there, after we had to scale a building to get the GoPro on the top of it on the stand so we could get the time-lapse shot. Then we walked into Ulysses Suites and went right, looked out this window, and we were like, you got to be kidding. We could have put the GoPro right here.
Yeah.
No, we had our guys on top of buildings.
That was cool. I also thought Galena Canning was very cool. So Galena
What a good
Canning
story.
they do a lot of they sell hot sauces, they sell salsa that they make in their own kitchen on site. And they just sell a lot of mustards and like anything that relish sort of condiment wise is what Galena Canning does.
I do know that surprised me when they said everything they make comes out of that 40-gallon stove like vat that you were stirring up.
Right.
Everything they make? How is that even possible at those small batches?
And it's one thing to go and experience them making it and then have a little taste test, which we did. But 2 weeks later, I ordered $90 worth of salsa. So I
And
got.
you know what? That won't be the last time you do that.
There's
either.
only one left. Which I tried to get it all done, just so you know.
What was your favorite flavor? I know you ordered a bunch.
Mesquite apple barbecue sauce, which I used as a
Oh,
salsa.
hickory, the hickory apple.
Hickory. That's
I
what
used it
was.
as salsa too. I gave it to my kids on chips and they were like, this is really good. And I was like, well, there you have it.
I also like the strawberry salsa, which is what I made there. And I kept thinking,
right.
oh, I think I made this. I also ordered the cherry salsa, which was not my favorite, just so you know. It was a little too much like, I think I need to put this salsa on ice cream.
Which, you might as well have tried.
You could have. But I thought the place was very cool. And I really love Jeff Holder. Who,
Oh, man. What a nice
the story
man.
around his friend who had the place, and then he stepped in to help the family after his friend passed. And Chef
Yeah.
Ivo, who started it, was Jeff's really good friend, and I just think it's a great story. So
Me too. Family company, been in Galena all those years.
yeah.
Right on Main Street.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production. So come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv.
Unexpected surprises, were there any?
Unexpected.
Here's what I loved about it. It wasn't a surprise. I loved, but kind of. I knew it was a tourist place, but I had no idea the historic value of that community.
Yeah.
The fact that it burnt down in the 50s or 60s, and then Galena said you cannot build with wood. It has to be brick. It has to be concrete. It has to be stone. And the entire downtown, which was rebuilt after the fire in the mid 1800s, still stands today because the town took a stand. And it just is the most charming, block upon block of historic buildings.
Yes.
And it's very cool.
The other thing I was surprised at the history was it was bigger than Chicago at one point. Like it rivaled Chicago to be the biggest city in Illinois. And now you can drive down it and go, wow, it's like, it's 6 blocks long. But at one time, don't you love to put yourself back in history? And in Galena, it's really easy to do because you will look around and find a lot of people dressed in old time, in costume. Especially Ulysses S Grant and his wife. She was out of character. She was a hoot and a half is what she was.
Yes, she was.
To see you moseying down the street, it's quite a sight.
Well, thank you.
It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you resemble him. Do you resemble Julia?
I doubt it.
I want to hang out with her a little bit, can I?
Oh my God, she was so funny. And him too. That's really fun that they're able to do that for Galena because it's all about Grant. And what's the other thing it's all about? Ghosts.
Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting, and we had a great during the day ghost tour. But we do.
Are you into that? Would you ever like to do that at night? Like not on camera, but I mean just go ghosting?
I would do it.
Do you ever feel them? Have you ever felt a ghost?
No.
I don't think I'd communicate with them because I've not felt it either. But I sure love to go, and I'd sure love to hear all the stories because Ted and Robin, who took us on our ghost tour, boy, they've got the stories, don't they? They've done the research.
It was good. It was great. Behind the scenes, I think people should know that there is a magician in town. His name's P.T. Murphy. He's from Chicago, and it's so funny that we knew each other in a past life. He worked the box office of Sheer Madness in Chicago while I was doing it there, the show at the Blackstone Hotel, and he's a great magician. And we, as a crew, so all of us, went out one night at 5:30. He did a show just for us, which was very cool.
It was really fun.
It was like we were out on a
Team building, didn't it feel
team.
like? Yes.
It
We were all rooting for each other to be able to break the chains or feel the ghost or whatever we were doing.
It was very cool. Yeah.
Now, you said you knew him from the Blackstone, but you did not know that until you literally walked in there, right? I mean, you saw him on the list. We do our advance work, and
Yeah,
I was
didn't
so
know.
excited there was a magician in town because we've never done up close personal magic. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrific. And when we walked in there, he was like, I know you.
It's a small world when that kind of stuff happens.
Galena.
It was a great 4 days.
Would you go back?
Oh sure, I would go back without a crew and and experience what tourists do in Galena. So-
Except that I was surprised, John, in Galena, you were stopped on the street a lot. I was like, what, all these people from Wisconsin, what is going on? But that felt like an episode that we would have done in Wisconsin because there were so many people that were like, oh my gosh, John McGiver.
Tourism.
Yep.
And close. You know, we say in this show that we're not going any further than 300 miles from my home in downtown Milwaukee, and it seemed to hold true there because a lot of people were visiting from Wisconsin.
Yes, no kidding. And you know, Galena's, what did we say, 2 hours?
Yeah,
From
a little
Milwaukee?
over 2.
A little over 2?
People should check it out. It's great.
You can
I'm
even
glad we
day
went there.
trip
It was a good pick low.
Excellent, excellent.
Galena,
Loved it.
go visit.
Curious to find out where John is traveling next? Head over to our website, mainstreets.tv, to learn more. Again, that's mainstreets.tv. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and please leave us a review. That helps more people discover great programming like Main Streets. Look for us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to follow all the action. John McGivern's Main Streets is produced by Plug Media in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thanks for listening.